In this video, we're going to be talking about the difference between inner join and left join. They're both powerful ways that you can query data. But first, before we even get started, let's take a look at a couple of tables in our database. Let's open these up a little bit. And if you notice, in the first table we have an employee table, and there happens to be 11 employees. And now for the department table, there are 6 different departments. Now, in real life, you would think that each person is assigned to a department, and we'll say that that's true. But how do we connect the data from one table to the other? Well, in the employee table, its primary key is something called EM key. It's a distinct field, a unique key, whereas in the department key, there's a unique key called the DP key. However, in the employee table, the employees have their own DP key, but it can repeat. Several records can have the same record. All that this does, this is a foreign key, and it's a pointer to these fields, to these numbers, these values. That means that anyone that has a 4, like all these people, like this person has a 4, that person has a 4, that person has a 4, and this person over here has a 4. All of those people belong to this department. It's that simple. They're all in IT. So obviously those are the cool people in that organization. Now, how does that help us? Well, let's do this. Let's first of all run a query where we're going to be looking at an inner join, just so that we can show the difference between the inner join and the left join. Now remember, in each of these tables, there are 6 departments and there are 11 employees. Now that doesn't mean, because it's a database and we're not talking about real life, that doesn't mean that every department has an employee, and it doesn't mean that every employee has a department, at least in the database. Here is some guy, literally, some guy, and he doesn't have a department. Here's this guy, Bubba Lubba, who is has a department that doesn't exist. And so let's kind of watch and see what happens. When we run this query, we're just taking the first name and the last name from the employee table and the description, or the long name for the department, from the department table, and we're doing an inner join where the DP key in the department table has to equal the DP key in the employee table. This means that any records in either table where they don't map to the other table, they're just not going to show up. So if we run this, it looks pretty good when we first look at it. Oh, inner join, it's our friend, it did what we wanted it to. Well, great. But the problem is there's 11 employees and I only see 9 records here. Now, if this was going to be where we're handing out, end of the year bonuses to everybody, those 2 people that aren't in this list are probably going to be upset. But since all the IT guys are in here, it probably doesn't matter. Okay, well, not to the IT guys. Let's do a left join though instead. We're going to show this a couple of different ways. The first thing that we're going to do, now what you have to understand about a left join, it's a little different than an inner join. It's a little bigger. When I say left or right, the way that SQL interprets a left table or a right table in the respect of a left join, when you look at the from clause, the first table, if there's only 2 tables, the first table is the left table and the second table is the right table. It's that simple. My code is indented, but if there was minimal white space, you would see from employees, left join, departments. So employees would be to the left of departments. That's where so in left join, the left table, if you will, in this case would be the employees table. Now here's what that means. I'm joining these where the DP key has to be equal to the DP key, except that in the case of the inner join, when we run this, we get 9 of these, and everybody has a legitimate department. The only thing that's going to be different when we run this with a left join, it's not just going to take records from both tables where there's a definite match. It is also going to take records from the employee table that do not have a match in the department table. So in other words, the left table gets everything, and the department table only gives up stuff that matches. So it's almost like in this case, the employee table is better. It's Trump. It's the captain, and this is just like Mr. Spock. So let's run this. And so what happened is now it gives us all 11 employees. because we did the left join, and the employee table's a little bigger. Now for description, for the department, we sort of had a problem because these guys, at least in the database, they don't have a department, so nothing showed up. But unlike the inner join, where they don't show up at all, here, at least, they show up. So maybe we'll give them a bonus. It depends if we like them. You know, if your name is Bubba Lubba, you probably should get a bonus. But last but not least, you know, that's how a left join works like this. But what if I wanted to put department up here instead? How would that be different? So let's look at it like this. Now we're doing the same exact thing, except that, you know, we're asking for the same data set. We're still doing a left join, but we're putting department first. So what's going to happen is we may not see every employee. We're probably going to see 9 of the 11 employees, but we may actually see a department that we haven't seen before. Or not. Here we go. So now there's 10 records coming back, and the reason why is, see, in this, if we go back to the employee table, there's 11, excuse me, there are, let's go back to 1. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Let's open that back up, number 4. Okay, so we're back at 1. In the first, with these 11 employees, remember, there are 2 that are missing, 2 that don't actually match up with department. So if the left join is with the department table being on the left, these guys will be omitted. However, and I know you probably can't tell just from looking at this, but all the real values that match up with the department table are the values 1 through 5. See how this is, this one has a DP key of 6? None of the employees are actually in the system with this field, or with this record. So what's going to happen is, when we run this now, it's not going to show the 2 guys, Bubba Lubba and some guy, because we're doing the left join, department's bigger, employee only has to match, and there's no match for those 2 guys. But there is a 10th record, it just happens to be here. But the reason for that is, this 6th department number 6, or with a DP key of 6, it has to come back because we're doing a left join on department, but there are no employees in the complaint department, you know, because nobody wants to work there. So we could take Bubba Lubba and put him there, and we could probably put some guy there. Yeah, that'll teach him. So anyway, basic difference is, if we do the left join on department, it shows us the extra department. Whereas if we do the left join on the employees, then it shows the extra employees. And that's basically it. Hope that was helpful.